Grace was born in December 9, 1906 in New York, as the eldest daughter of a family of three. Her parents, Walter and Mary, encouraged Grace and her younger sister that they could do anything in the world, and that they should have the same educational opportunities as their brother. Grace believed it. She looked up to her father, who was a very successful insurance broker, despite the double amputation of his legs. He always told her that anything was possible, despite gender inequality or disability. Her mother, Mary, was a housewife, but she spent a lot of time teaching Grace piano and instilling in her a love of mathematics. Grace was always intrigued by gadgets, and when she was 7, she was determined to learn how an alarm clock worked, by taking an alarm clock apart. When she did not get the clock back together, she took apart another clock. She dismantled 7 clocks before her mom realized what she was doing. Grace grew up and graduated Phi Beta Kappa from Vassar in 1928 with a bachelor's degree in mathematics and physics. In 1930, at age 23, she received her master's degree in mathematics from Yale University. She taught at Vassar from 1931 until 1943, when she was promoted from instructor to associate professor.
The second birthday of the Waves, America's Women of the Navy.
Grace's ancestors had served in the American Revolutionary War, and because of her strong family military history, Grace felt a desire to serve her country during World War II. She made the decision to leave the university and join the Navy, although she went through many hoops in order to join. Remembering her father's words that no obstacle is insurmountable, she was able to serve in the U.S. Naval Reserve despite initially being turned down because she was considered overage and underweight for military enlistment. Her intelligence and mathematical ability were crucial to the war effort, which helped her overcome these obstacles. Her first assignment was under Commander Howard Aiken at the Bureau of Ordnance Computation at Harvard University. There, she became the 3rd programmer of the Mark I, the world's first large-scale, automatically sequenced digital computer.
It was created in 1944 at IBM and was fully automatic, not relying on any human interference to start it. It is considered by some to be the first general calculator. It could store up to 72 numbers, 23 digits long, also doing 3 additions or subtractions a second. That's also the first bugs.
Grace was immediately hooked to the Mark I. Like the gadgets and alarms that Grace had played with as a child, the Mark I allowed her to experiment and learn. Grace became the first female programmer ever. The Mark I computer was used to calculate aiming angles for naval guns, a calculation where the numbers were extremely important. Hopper and her workers monitored the system 24 hours a day and spent most of the day running, transcribing, and inputting codes for Mark I. Eventually, they did this for Mark II and Mark III as well. Hopper chose to remain at Harvard as a civilian research fellow in engineering sciences and applied physics, instead of returning to Vassar. She was there at Harvard until 1949. Then, Hopper made a risky business move. She left Harvard to join Eckert Mauchly Computer Corporation as a senior mathematician. The gamble paid off when the company introduced the BINAC, Binary Automatic Computer, which was programmed using C10 code instead of the punched cards utilized by the Mark series. This paved the way for the production of the first commercial computers, UNIVAC 1 and 2. By this time, Hopper had spent countless hours on the frustrating aspects of programming. She used punched cards for the Mark I, II, and III, carefully formulating instructions for the computer. When she wrote code back then, she had to write her program in binary so that the computer could understand it. As a woman with a mathematics and physics background, she felt that thinking about every single bit in binary removed the programmer from the mathematics and beauty of programming. She had gone through many hoops in order to become the first female programmer. She pushed her way into the Navy and surrendered her safe professorship to continue working on computers. Her peers mocked her ideas, and she had no female mentor to look up to. Her position in the Navy gave her the exposure she needed to the inner workings of a computer, and her decision to leave her professorship to program gave her more access to BINAC. However, Hopper realized that not everyone would have the opportunity to work so closely with computers, so this is what Grace did. Grace suggested that the UNIVAC could be programmed to recognize English commands. This dream was motivated by the desire to make programming more accessible to everyone, men, women, and mathematicians alike. While she was grateful for her family background that encouraged her to be confident in male-dominated fields, and while she was thankful that she had spent so much time playing around with computers and being at the right place at the right time, she knew that developing a compiler would allow those without her opportunities to code well, and it would allow mathematicians to more easily transcribe their ideas to code. Despite ridicule from her peers and doubt from everyone around her, Grace published a paper on compilers and developed the very first compiler, making her dream a reality.